This video is going to show you how to use the contracts pillar in Compass. It's going to look a little different than when you get into your own Compass, as I am doing this from my own account that does have some of the parameters already set up. To access contracts, you're literally just going to click on the contracts pillar up top. You may see other pillars available, but contracts is where we want to be. If your contracts hasn't been set up initially, you will get a pop-up window that will say you need to set up yards before you can begin using contracts. That is because unless you have a storage area already set up, you can't bring any inputs or send any shipments from, because you have nowhere that the product's actually stored. So that's where we're going to start today. We're going to start off in storage, and we're going to start by creating a yard. Now you'll notice here I happen to have multiple yards on my farm, but what I want you guys to do is actually click on Add Yard. And we're going to walk through the basic information you have to put in. Red boxes in Compass mean required information. You have to put something in there in order to proceed ahead. So we're just going to call this test yard for now. I can mark down a location if there's a specific location for it, and add any additional comments I want. Then all I'm going to do is click Save Yard. Compass gives me an indicator telling me my information's been backed up. And there's my new yard. I've got two of them, named the same. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add bins. Now I can either do this directly from a yard, so if I click on that test yard, I have the ability to add bins right from here, or I can click Add Bag and add bags directly to that yard as well. So to add a bin, I'm just going to click Add Bin, and you can see again some red boxes are required. It's already pre-selected test yard because we're adding the bin directly from a yard. I could select one of the other yards to place it on. Whether I want my harvested product to be tracked in volume, i.e. bushels, pints, quarts, or weight, pounds, kilograms, metric tons. I'm going to leave it as volume, and I'm going to give this bin a name, and what capacity in the unit of measure I want this to hold. This bin is a 20,000 bushel bin, but here's my alternative measurements I can select because we are selecting this bin in volume. If I switch this over to weight, then I can see my different weight measurements I can select. Compass will automatically do the conversion math in the background for you, so no worries there. I can add a description, temperature, or moisture, but it is optional. Now I'm just going to click Save. I get my indicator that it's all been backed up, and it's added my new bin. So now if I went down here to the second option, Bin, I will get an overview of all the bins I have currently on my farm. It gives me the name, what crop product is in there if I've put harvested crops into it, how much of that harvested crop is in it versus the quantity that bin can hold, and what yard it's on, and even a percentage of how full that bin is. And if I've got crop product in a bin, I can actually click on it as well and see all the harvests that were placed in that bin that still exist. If I've shipped product out, it's only going to show me what still exists in that bin. As you can see, I've got quite a few here, but if I wanted to add a bin directly from the bin section, same process. I just click Add Bin. It'll default to the first yard in the list, but I can select any yard down, and again follow the same procedure we just did. Same idea pertains to bags. I can either create them directly from the yard, right from adding a bag here, and I can edit or review, modify any of the existing ones I have. The last thing under storage here is this inventory section. This becomes particularly handy for you if you want to see exactly what you have sitting on farm at any given time. Lists all the bins that currently have a crop product in it or are empty, what variety are in it, the yard that it's on, the current quantity that's sitting in that bin versus the capacity of that bin overall, and how much available space I still have remaining that I can put into that bin. Now you'll notice here, a couple of my bins are overstuffed. I'll get to that when we get to the transfer section, but you can overstuff a bin. You can also select your unit of measure that it displays in. Right now I look like I'm an excellent farmer because I have a lot of product in there. But once I convert this back to bushels, there's my accurate number. Scroll down a little further, I can see all of my bags and any capacity or quantities that I have sitting on farm in those. But another particular highlight of interest, we're just going to go back here, is this bottom section where it says Crop Summary. I've got two different columns I'm going to focus on here, but let's start at the left. There's the name of the bin, whether it's a bin or a bag, the crop variety that's in it, the current quantity on farm, Allocated or unallocated is what I really want to highlight here. Allocated quantity is going to be stuff that you have allocated to a specific buyer or crop contract, meaning you won't be able to accidentally sell that to somebody else. You can only sell it or ship it to the person it was originally intended for. Unallocated, I like to think of as my cash crop available. It's not tied to a particular buyer or contract. It's able to be sold and delivered to whomever, whenever. It's a very handy feature to see exactly what you've got available and very great for your grain marketing. I'm going to go all the way back up here, and we're going to dive over to the next one beside it, crop contracts, and I'm going to go right to the very bottom. Before I can even set up crop contracts to sell to, I actually have to create buyers. And it's as simple as clicking Add Buyer. As you can see here, I've got a number of different buyers for myself here. Waterloo Grain, Tom Connors, P's and Q's, and Drayton Grain are all individual buyers that I sell to on a regular basis. In order for me to be able to ship out cash crop available, I did create a contract itself, or a buyer, that is just general off-contract sales. This way, I still have somebody I can ship to, but in the notes when I get to that shipment, I can identify the individual it was actually sold to. Now, to create contracts, I can either go to Listing or Contract Position, and I'm just going to click Add Contract. But before I get into that, right from this page, once you've added your contract, you can see some basic details: who your buyer is, what type of contract it is, a variety that it's for, quantity in metric tons or bushels that this contract is for, maturity date, contract date, delivery instructions, and if it's open or filled. I'm just going to click Add Contract here, and we're going to add a very quick one. You can see there's a lot more information required. I'm going to select Drayton Grain. What type of contract is it? Cash on delivery. What crop variety from the drop-down list am I selling? Now, of note, you should try to match these crop varieties to what's been created in your crop plans for varieties. That way you have built-in traceability. In this case, I'm just going to sell some wheat. Contract is for 20,000 bushels. I'm selling it at $10.50 a bushel. When was my contract? When does it come to maturity? December 7th. And when did I create this contract or sign it? March 5th. I also have the availability to put any delivery instructions, special comments, or even attach the external contract ID provided to me by Drayton Grain or my buyer when I set up the contract. To create it, I'm just going to click Save. And now you've got a brand new crop contract. Contract position is very similar to what we just saw, but it goes one step further, and it actually gives you a color-coded bar that shows you the percentage of that contract that's been fulfilled, how much is still remaining, whether it's open, and you can even go back and see all your previously filled contracts that you've done before. I can click on any one of these lines, and from there I can see some more details. Here's how much allocated inventory we've shipped to this contract, and overall just how much we've shipped. If I want to see more details on the allocated quantities or just the off-contract quantities we've shipped, I can click these three lines, and I get every shipment that's been made, and its delivery date as well. Even the crop variety that's been done, I can use the filters up top here under Shipment Review to select just what I want to see. I can click here to go into the actual created shipment, or I can reprint any documentation if I want. That covers this portion. Let's see how we bring crop product in. The first thing I'm going to do is select the crop and variety. So we're just going to enter in some wheat here. And I know I've done some... Just got to find the right one here. Oh, I believe it was that other one. I can select a crop plan that's attached to. That's why I wanted to select the correct crop variety. I do have an active crop plan that has wheat. Now I've attached this to a crop plan. I'm going to select the field it was pulled from. And if I've already entered in my overall bushels at the end of the year in crop, the crop pillar up here, then I will already have a harvest ready here to be pulled in. I can either select no harvest and manually enter the amount of bushels and harvest date that was done from, or I can select this harvest here and it automatically fills in my harvest date and my quantity to be pulled in. Optionally, I can add the temperature, moisture, and comments at the time of harvest. Then I'm going to come down here to the center section. I'm going to select whether it's going into a bin, and it will list all of my bins that are available. Now you'll notice I have quite a few less bins than I actually have on my farm. The reason for this is Compass has eliminated the ability to cross-contaminate multiple crop products in the same bin. So in this case, I can only put this HRS CDC Go wheat in a bin that's empty or already contains the same variety. You'll notice here this one has 5,000 bushels. It's the same variety of wheat. I could put this 3,000 into there. Tells me what's already in there, plus what I'm planning to put in, and I could just click add input. It's eliminated my harvest date there, so we'll just select that. I could add that input, and it drops it into a tray down here below for me to review. Now, alternatively, I could have also put it into a bag, and any of my bags available will show up, or I could choose to create a bag right from this input. Select what yard it's going to, give it a name, a capacity, moisture percentage, a field, description, and temperature. Once I'm happy with all my options, I can see in my tray here, there's the bushels we're pulling in. Once I click Save Inputs, instantly it goes into that bin and is available now to be shipped. So that's what we're going to touch next is shipment. Here I'm going to select my buyer. So this is why I created a buyer for just general off-contract cash crop. Pick my buyer. Pick the contract that is with that buyer or no contract if I'm cash cropping out. Select my delivery date. And optionally I can put in a reference number, an invoice number, a tracking number, a moisture percentage, a grade. And if I put a number in dockage, Compass is automatically going to remove that percentage, math-wise, out of your shipment as the dockage. You can attach a comment. If you have a weigh scale, you can actually put your weight in here and what it measured in, and what unit you're shipping out in, whether it's bushels, metric tons, grams, ounces, pounds. Now when I come down here, I'm going to see two different types of inventory if they're available. What's been allocated specifically to this contract, and I can select what I want to ship and the quantity I want to ship. Don't worry, it's not going to forget that I still have 1,151 bushels in there. And I can even choose to use some of my unallocated or cash crop available inventory to help fulfill this contract. When I scroll down, it's going to tell me the inventory and weight and how much is still remaining on my contract, and over here my inventory and volume and the same information. Save my shipment. Now I'm going to be presented with a page that I can use as my bill of lading or my tracking sheet that gives me where it's shipping from, who it's shipping to, shipment date, delivery date, reference number, invoice number, tracking number, the crop variety that's going, price per bushel I set it up in, grade, and any additional comments. Down here it tracks my gross weight in metric tons. I didn't have any dockage, so net weight we're shipping the exact same amount. And we shipped 1,000 bushels at $10 a bushel, so I'm due $10,000 from the grain elevator. I can print this documentation, or I can always come back and review it later from the Review tab where I can see all my historical inputs, shipments, or transfers. Speaking of transfers, that's the next section we're going to hit. Sometimes on the farm you may end up with two bins that have the same crop variety or product in them. One's maybe 25% full, the other's 50% full, but you can't use them for any other crop product because you can't put something in there. Well, with transfer, you can move crop from one bin to another bin. Same principle applies as when we did the input. It won't allow me to put a crop product in a bin that already contains something else. So it will only show me the ones that are available. I put in my parameters up here of what I want to move. Down here, it lets me know. I'm going to overfill the bin or bag, but as we all know, a 10,000 corn bushel bin will hold way more wheat than it will the corn. So you can have the ability to overstuff the bushels and bins. Once I'm happy, I just click Save and the transfer is complete. Now, of course, we all want traceability documentation. Here I can go to Input Review. use a bunch of filters up top and export to Excel if I want, and view just the inputs that I want. Now you'll notice some of these still say open. That means they're still sitting in bins and have not been shipped. Closed means it was input, and then we've already shipped that crop product out, so it's no longer on the farm. The same principle is going to apply with shipment review, although I do have a little bit more I can do here. If I want to click here, I get sent right back to that shipment, and I can add a comment and resave it just by clicking update. If I want to delete the shipment, I can do that as well. When we go back there to shipment review again, there's a secondary option I have, and that's the print icon, which allows me to go back and reprint that bill of lading in case I lose my paper copy. And lastly, we have our transfer review, where we can see all the transfers we've made historically from one location to another. And of course, clicking the lines over here brings me back to that page of what did I move and to where. That pretty much sums up the contracts portion. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to give us a call toll free at 1-866-278-9530.